Okay, so I'm just gonna throw some ideas for writing or speaking about. First, fear of humiliation, fear of criticism, that somebody will criticize us, judge us, say things about us that we may look stupid. These are really huge blocks. So maybe we can talk about them. And it's just notice when you are not really acting in accordance with the expectation of the other. And then what is your subconscious mind saying when you are facing this situation? And then just see that little voice that might say, he or she will think of me, oh my God, she's so stupid, or oh my God, how can she do something like that? Like expecting that we're gonna be judged, expecting that people will not understand, because simply we have faced certain situations in the past like that, and our mind is just projecting the past onto other situations we're facing in the present, because it's trying to protect us from something that we may not be willing to face at that time. Maybe we don't really want to get into conflict. We're maybe afraid to say our opinion, maybe afraid to be fully as we are, because we are afraid that the other will judge, criticize, and in that way, that's how these artificial patterns are being formed. People pleasing, always trying to fulfill the expectations of the other, looking for approval outside of ourselves, making other people's opinion more important than our opinion, relying on what other people say, looking what the mass is saying, what is accepted, what's not accepted, and so on. So this is something that we can become aware of when it happens in our life, in our interaction with others. We can really say, how do I want to act in this situation? Who is the real me that should show up as a certain attitude, behavior? How do I want to be in this situation? What's the real me? Who's the real me? So this is something different than what the other expects, what's the norm, how it's supposed to be, all these things that the majority of the people or society is actually predetermined in social communication. So, for example, there is a situation where you have been asked to express your opinion and you say it honestly, even though you know that they will not agree with it. Also, saying that you disagree can also be something that can be judged. Not to comply, also to say no to things, to reject something. It's difficult for us as humans, just to say no, or I don't want to do that. Or even to a friend, sometimes you feel like, oh shit, is he gonna be mad because I'm gonna not be able to come with him, her, or I don't feel like doing this, or I changed my mind about something. So we really overthink about the reaction of the other, and we have certain fears perhaps about being shamed, being rejected, being judged. And this is the question, what is gonna be our choice? Are we gonna stay our true authentic self, or are we going to shrink in order to fulfill the expectations of others and be approved by them, and having this sense of self-worth coming from outside of ourselves, because the others are approving of us. They are telling you're a nice person, or you're worthy, or you're valuable. And these are really like, we have to be really self-aware to become aware about these things and patterns, and in order to be able to reflect, to distinguish between where is this coming from, where is my self-worth coming from. Do I really wait for the approval of others, and only then I feel accepted and valuable? Or am I approving of myself first and then leave the choice to the others? Or am I feeling valuable within myself first, and then I let the others just see my value and let it reflect through the work I do, or just by being me? And if I think about myself that I'm valuable, then I also feel that I'm valuable, because the feeling is always determining what we think. It's not the other way around, actually. So we have to be really able to dig deep and really be honest with ourselves. Like, where is this coming from? What is my true opinion about this? Am I just like repeating some things I've learned from my culture or my parents, or simply older people that are saying this is good and this is bad? Or have I formed my own personal opinion about it, my own personal view and perspective? Is it really coming from my own opinion, because it's kind of like backed up with certain reasons why you believe that, why you really find that correct, so to say, for you, or whatever is the thing that you believe in, so that you also in this process are able to get to know yourself better, get to know the true authentic self that is emerging through different situations and the choices that we make. So every choice is actually determining what kind of person we want to be, what kind of identity we want to build. And this can be changing all the time, but we still try to climb that ladder and to become better and better and better with all the choices that we have, experiences that we make, what we choose, what we do, all these things. And in this process, we're gonna perhaps choose some things now, and then after 1 year you choose something completely else and different, and that if it was now, you wouldn't choose what you've chose 1 year ago, but still that was a step in your development, in your growth, that was needed so that you come to where you are now. So there is no wrong or right. There is always it's just a process. There is nothing bad was going on. It's everything a lesson, and as long as we understand why it's happening, because there's always a message, a reason why something is happening in our life, what we need to learn about it, what kind of version we need to further become as a result of that knowledge, that experience. So during this process, it's very important to remind ourselves that it's okay, whatever we go through, it's whatever version we're experiencing of ourselves, it's there to be accepted, to be acknowledged, and get better, move further, grow. So even if we perhaps are not really happy about where we are in a certain situation, how far we've come, or what kind of personality we still feel and demonstrate in that situation, we can always improve, we can always get better. So that's the reason why we should not get in this victim or regret or whatever state we have learned to get to as a result of our protector, our nervous system. So and just move on and get better and learn better, grow. Life is a constant grow, and it's not something that we can say like, oh, but he's not like this, or oh, she's like this, we need to allow each other as well to have space to grow and to change opinions and to change choices and to make changes at all in our lives, because we want to improve our life, because as we learn more about ourselves in this process, we change and we start emphasizing those characteristics that we like about ourselves, and start or try to avoid doing things that we don't like about ourselves, the version of ourselves that perhaps is not serving us in the best way. So then we want to make a change, and that's how we improve. Another very helpful thing for me on my journey was hearing Dan Brule, my breathwork teacher, saying that, we cannot always be very smart, we cannot always be wise. And that took so much responsibility or weight from my shoulders, because I thought I have to, or just being this judgmental person of myself that I try to be less of nowadays. But this kind of further gave me the freedom to be sometimes funny, stupid, not serious, not wise, and so on. So I had a personal experience as well about this. It was in a conversation with my mom and some other people actually that came to our house as we are trying to renovate some things, and I was convincing her in a expression of myself to just let's do it properly, or let's do it in this way. I was swearing in this kind of very dumb, low courtesy, low level of humor. It was swearing, and I was then afterwards felt a little bit weird, because because on one side I know that swearing is normal, and I cannot be wise all the time, and it's just sometimes you just really want to express something, for God's sake, just let's do it. And while I was reflecting on that, perhaps a part of me was kind of questioning, can I really be this dumb person that I kind of played out in a funny way in front of others, and at the same time have these other beliefs and personality characteristics and parts that are actually more gentle, that are actually more feminine, more soft in the expression. Then I remembered about what Dan Brule said: you cannot always be wise and smart and all these things, but I guess it's okay for me to accept that this kind of expression suits the environment where I'm in, and it kind of makes me wanna express that way, even though there are a lot of other parts of me that perhaps are different than that. So I guess it's for me to simply accept that and let myself just express however I want to express or feel in the moment, and learn from that as well. My point is, don't be so judgmental. Allow yourself to be stupid sometimes as well, and learn from it. And that's just the approach that is always gonna win. If we keep on accepting and growing and go with the flow and just learn and enjoy the experience, enjoy the whole journey of our life. So the more we resist things, the more tension is stored in the body, in the nervous system. And the more we accept and allow things to happen, the energy is flowing freely, within our body and out. And this means that our nervous system is more regulated by accepting and allowing. So I hope that was interesting, and see you in the next one. Much love.